yours too, and your grandkids.
Paulette? You need me to repeat the question?
No, sir.
Okay.
Well, I would definitely open up pipelines. And of course, everything that our president had in place that worked for us. Now, one thing that I would do in Congress is place an amendment to whatever a president could sign off as an executive order. If it does not work for the people, because it's all about you, we the people, not the politicians. And I thank you so much for being here, because we're the ones that have the voice. And we need to go out and understand that our forefathers wrote the Constitution so that this day and time would not happen. But we have to go to the school boards. We have to go and call the Congress, the senators, or whoever, and let them know we're not tolerating this. So that's one thing that I would suggest and I would do for you. Because the reason why I'm running is because I want to make sure that there is no more swamps going in when my president comes in and take Nancy Pelosi's place and become president. Because I have children, I have grandkids, you have it. What if the next generation does not do anything or stand up for our children? Then what happens? So we got to continue to build America up. We are a great country. You are great people. And I know you love this country the way I love it. And that's why you're here today. And thank you so much. I appreciate you. Love you and God bless you.
This might be one of the most important questions we have to ask ourselves. The energy crisis doesn't just affect our economy and the future of America, our debt, but it's also a strategic importance. Most people don't realize that we are very close to putting ourselves in jeopardy when it comes to foreign powers. If we're not energy independent, and if we don't have the ability to refine oil, if we don't have the ability Sorry about that. If we don't have the ability to actually protect our energy sources.
Step back 1 foot and see if it changes.
Okay.
You're the only one that's been to the edge, so I'm just asking.
I'm trying not to be aggressive here, I'm sorry.
I'm just saying, I can't
Gotcha.
figure it out.
So when we talk about the strategic importance of energy, one thing we don't realize is we put ourselves in jeopardy every time we don't build a diversity of refineries, every time we don't build another nuclear power plant, every time we allow another country to drill off our coast for oil, every time we don't allow ourselves to complete a pipeline, every time we put ourselves in limitations for producing our energy and being independent, then we have to look at other countries to supply that same energy. When I was first joined the Marine Corps, Venezuela was a friend. We train with Venezuelan officers. You never know when a country's going to go bad on you. We have to be ready for that time. We don't always have to produce everything in America, but we have to be ready to produce, whether it be energy or medical supplies or anything else that's strategically important to the United States. We have to do it here first. We have to open up new power plants. We have to have new refineries, new oil wells. We need to complete the pipeline. These things are all easily done. And they keep on talking about the pipeline being bad for the environment. You don't spend fossil fuels transporting the energy. You don't have spills. And I guarantee those caribou are going to continue to make. Let's get it done.
We need to get Americans back to work. And I'm talking about the ones that build, the ones that manufacture. Because the Keystone Pipeline XL is what needs to be completed if you want to get back to energy independence. If we start controlling our inflation and our supply chains, costs are going to come down. People are going to start being able to work again. The biggest thing is we have to get back to what we do best. America is an industrialized society, as we know, but it's turn the pipeline back, finish the Keystone XL pipeline, get back to fracking, use the resources that we have. These are the resources that we gave up. These are the resources that we gave up even if you were during COVID, because while we were relying on China and you couldn't even get a mask if you wanted one or a pharmaceutical. So what we have to do is get America back to work. Put America first. Put Georgia first. This is common sense to me, at least. Forget not being aggressive. Let's get aggressive. It's time to stand up to these idiots that are in charge and say, no, this is what you're going to do. You cut 57,000 jobs. We're going to turn it back on. We're going to put them back to work. And we're going to start getting back to America being the greatest country in the world. And I know how to do that. I know how to create jobs. There's a big difference between a business and a hobby. Because I've created a lot of jobs and manufacturing jobs. I got a truck going on the road next month. Why? Because we needed it so we could get things out of the ports.
One of the things I love about America is our ability to rise to the occasion. That's exactly what our country could do right now if the federal government would just get out of our way. We absolutely need to finish the Keystone Pipeline. We've only got 8% right now. We need 92% more so that we can get the oil or the natural gas from Canada that we should be getting right now and not having the problems that we're having. But instead, the Biden administration wanted to roll back all the progress that we've made under Trump. Another thing that the Biden administration literally makes me laugh about is they say, well, there's 9,000 leases that the oil companies are just sitting on, not doing anything about it. Well, that is basically a lie. There are 9,000 leases, but again, it's the Biden administration that is holding up the progress from allowing the companies to drill on that land or to even find out if there's oil on that land. Why? Because they put about 18 months to 2 years of regulations on our companies to figure out if that land is even worth anything. Also, what about our national lands that we have that we 100% can be drilling on? Why aren't we opening those up? But instead, Biden would rather go down to Venezuela or over to Russia, maybe not right now, but down to Venezuela and get dirtier natural gas that is actually going to be worse for the environment to process. So none of their policies are making sense. We're sending more oil over to Europe while our people at home are suffering. So again, my question for you is, why are we not putting America first? Because that's what we need to be demanding, and we need to send leaders who are going to fight to put Americans first.
Can you do me a favor and read the question again? I want to make sure I answered the right question.
Absolutely. We were energy independent under the last administration. What do we need to do to get back to being energy independent?
Perfect. I want to answer that question, and I want to answer another question first. Why do we care? Why does it matter? You know, we talk a lot about, oh, this will create American jobs, and that's a really good thing. American jobs are a really good thing. That's important. It'll bring gas prices down. That's really important, especially right now. I think we all feel how important that is, unless you are one of the lucky, wealthy who drive an electric vehicle. But the number one reason for me, the national security guy, why we should be energy independent is because it's a national security issue. All right? This is a vital infrastructure that we've got to have. We have got to be able, in a pinch, to take care of our own energy needs. Furthermore, we've got to be able to look after the rest of the world. What if Germany could, without a thought, trade with us? Energy. Get rich with us, get rich with your friends, rather than enrich Russian oligarchs and get held hostage. All right, that's important stuff. This is a national security issue. That's vitally important. All right, now what do? How do we fix it? Step one, drill, baby, drill. All right, let's open it up. low-level economic stuff. We got this.
I think this is a very timely question. My wife and I are actually just down the road Friday night with someone who has a midstream service company. And that company, the gentleman told us, I'm not going to say his name, he lost a third, 33% of his top line revenue when they canceled the Keystone Pipeline. And that shows what we're up against. The Democrats don't care about American jobs. I don't even think they care about America. What they care about is appeasing the radical arm of their party who tries to force the Green New Deal down our throats. And so what we have to do is first, we got to restart the Keystone Pipeline. That invigorates American energy. That increases the likelihood Americans are being put first and we're maximizing American jobs. We've got to increase fracking. But also what we've got to do is we've got to make sure we've got an equal playing field in this world. American companies are held to a higher energy standard than just about any of our totalitarian regimes, China, Venezuela, Russia. They're forced to meet higher standards than those countries are. And so what's currently happening is American companies are disincentivized to meet the production needs. And so what we have to do is ensure manufacturing is reinstated to America, ensure energy production is reinstated in America because national security depends on it. Right now you can see exactly what's happening. Oil is skyrocketing. That puts us subject to the hands of the evil actors like Russia, like China, like Venezuela. So not only does making America energy dependent increase jobs being brought back, it also increases our ability to act autonomous and not subject to the hands of the bad actors on the planet.
Eugene, you need me to repeat it?
No. This progressive, liberal, and socialist and communist is not same as we are. They don't think the way we think. Their common sense is totally different. We as America, we have the energy, it's oil, natural gas, good for next 500 years. But yet, this Democrat, this is some president that I don't even want to repeat his name, but he buying the oil from the Russia, he get the money from the Russia, he get the money from the Ukraine, he get the money from the China, but turn around, he's trying to sell, well, Ukraine, Russia, you don't need to fight each other. Wow, we as Americans and this coward Republican that let it completely tolerate this situation ever again. We need to immediately impeach this Biden administration. We need to open back up Keystone Pipeline, and we need to start back up the manufacturing, the shale gas in the South Dakota, so we can give the American people lower, affordable gas price. Plus, we can export it. Do you know the Biden administration, they just give the money to the Venezuela, like a $40 million. They're trying to negotiate buy the Venezuelan oil. I mean, this is completely out of their mind. They are crazy and they are garbage. And we as Americans, we too nice. Let them continue doing whatever they're doing. Remember, I told you, Washington did a U-turn.
Okay, Mallory, you're up on this third question. This has got a little length to it, but I think you'll understand. So making this the assumption you have won the primary in May, plus the final election in November. As a sworn-in U.S. House representative, do you believe that all elected members of U.S. Congress, U.S. Senate, White House, plus employees of the U.S. federal government are more valuable than the average registered voter who elected you? If not, would you lead a group of House of Representatives plus members of the U.S. Senate to do the following? Take the federal retirement plan and conversion into Social Security, effective immediately, and and retroactively. Federal health care, conversion into Medicare, retroactively. All the laws passed by the federal government apply to every U.S. citizen, including the federal elected officials and employees. No forgiveness for student loans by just becoming a federal employee. The end of the two-tiered class, where federal employees are royalty versus the serfs who vote, pay taxes, and give them all their bloated benefits.
I love it. I wanted to say, preach. Yeah, that is wonderful. Who's responsible for that question? I want to hire you when I get to DC. I love it. I am the candidate of the people. I say that all the time. And I think it is grotesque what has happened over the last several decades with our political process. We are supposed to govern ourselves. So this elite politician, bureaucrat category is actually, when you boil it all down, and I think we probably all agree, it is the problem with governance in the United States. So I am all about leveling the playing field. I am all about people not staying. I don't think you should be in DC long enough to get a retirement plan. I've already signed a term limit pledge, and I heard the most horrifying statistic that Biden, Pelosi, Schiff, Schumer, Feinstein, and Waters have 250 years in DC between them. That's the problem. So I think it is a brilliant idea. I would absolutely get behind it. Again, I have to reiterate, this is not a career for me. I'm doing this for my kids, so I don't have any plans of staying in DC forever and ever. I want to go up there, give my life if I have to do what needs to be done, and pass the baton to the next, please wait for it, citizen leader who wants to take the seat in Georgia 6. And it needs to just go from there to the next citizen leader. Let's do away with politicians altogether. Fabulous idea, I love it.
No applause, please. Thank you. And also, don't forget, turn your ringers off. Paulette, would you like me to repeat that?
Yes, please.
It's lengthy. I apologize. These come over the email. Making the assumption you have won the primary in May, plus the final election in November, as a sworn-in U.S. House representative, do you believe that all elected members of U.S. Congress, U.S. Senate, White House, plus the employees of the federal government are more valuable than the average U.S. registered voter who elected you? If not, would you lead a group of House representatives plus members of U.S. Senate to do the following: the federal retirement plan, a conversion into Social Security, immediately and retroactively; the federal health care plan, conversion into Medicare, retroactively and immediately. All laws passed by the federal government apply to every U.S. citizen, including federally elected officials and employees. No forgiveness for the student loans by just becoming a federal employee. The end of the two-tiered class system where federal employees are royalty versus the serfs who vote, pay taxes to give them all their bloated benefits.
Okay, first and foremost, my slogan is, we the people, not the politicians. We are more valuable than the politicians. Our forefathers, they wrote the Declaration of Independence along with the Constitution to make sure that the politicians won't take advantage of the people. And I will advise everyone in the room tonight to go and take Constitution Alive, or you can come to the GOP in Cobb County, and we have a class once a month, and it's free on YouTube. I mean, teach it to your children, because until we really understand the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, we're going to keep thinking, oh, that's what politicians do. No. You have a voice. And going to the other questions, I think those are great ideas. But one thing that I would do as far as saying forgiving all student loans, I feel that my father, he had a 7th grade education, and that was considered 12th grade education. he wound up being a millionaire before he even passed away. But the thing of it is, if you allow the children to have an 8th grade education, I mean a good education, not keep repeating stuff and being bored and coming home on their cell phones and all of that. If you allow them to have a 12th grade education, the 8th grade, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade, guess what? That's 4 years of college. And parents don't have to struggle and have to worry about debt with their children going to college. They can go to college afterwards.
I'm sorry, thank you.
Okay.
Rich, you don't need to repeat, do you?
Please no.
Yes, one.
We should never incentivize government to be bigger. We should never incentivize people to think that working for the government is a good thing. I don't think we should just have term limits on politicians, but on the bureaucrats. Just recently we had a bill passed to stem supplies billing. We already passed one here in Georgia. We finally got something done after 4 years in Congress to protect you from unfair billing. And as soon as it got out of session, it went to the bureaucrats who changed it in favor of insurance policies because those guys have been there for 20 plus years. Now Congress has to take it back and redo it because of bureaucrats that have been there. We don't just need term limits on politicians, but bureaucrats. And we should never let employees of the government unionize. We should never let employees of the government be incentivized to stay as employees of the government. When you think that working for the government is a good deal, and I'm talking about politicians too, we have a problem. It's time we make Congress have the same kind of health care as everybody else. If they want to insure people and make sure that they have the same experience that you do, they shouldn't get a benefit. They shouldn't get a premium package. Now, I'm going to take a little exception on those military people who served 20 years. Oh, wait, they have the VA. If you're going to serve in Congress, maybe you should have the VA too. Let's start there. All right. Applause, please. But you get it. That's why you're so passionate about that. You know that our military people who actually put their life on the line, who've been overseas, who did all the hard work, get the worst kind of single-payer healthcare system, and Congress gets the Cadillac system. It's a rigged system. I'm definitely from most of those things I can keep track of. And I will say that anything that incentivizes people to be in government for a long period of time, and you know them, they're out there, they're millionaires and billionaires who are serving at the top of Congress, that should all be done with.
So this is one of those things where we look at people that know what they're talking about, know what they're doing, and those that don't. So what I just heard was you want us to liquidate all government pension plans. Wait a minute. So all those hard-working government employees, you know, because I got to say something. I guess, look. So my wife is a government employee, and she's been there for 20 years, and she busts her butt like no other. I see her work 80 hours a day. I can't tell you how many times she says, a week. I can't tell you how many times she says, Blake, this is not just a part-time job. I just don't just come to do it. Guess what? You're going to have government workers. So no way in the world would I eliminate that. It's just like the private sector. You want to be competitive? You want to have good workers? Guess what? You have to have incentivizing. Think about how many people actually work for the government or government-related. Look, do I believe in the whole political elite class or whatever? Absolutely not. Will I form a group? Yeah, that's part of my plan, to form a group on the newly elected people so we can start turning our country around. But there is no way in the world I'm going to take money away from the hard-working Americans that I see every day and tell them, hey, sorry, we just took your pension plan, because you know there's plenty of companies out there that still offer pension plans too. I do loans every day. I see financial statements every day. I do manufacturing every day. Pensions still exist. Companies pay for them. Most people enjoy it in their retirement because they worked for that. So, no, absolutely not. And you know what? Forgiving student loans, you only do that They do it in the private sector and the public sector, and that's they have to give so much service, just like your teachers.
Do you want to repeat the question? Just kidding. As the only person up here who's actually served in public office, I can tell you that the constituent is the number one person that I would answer to. But let me tell you something else, a dirty little secret about Washington, D.C. And I know this because I worked there in between undergrad and law school. If you don't elect qualified individuals who know how to read and write bills and know what they are looking for in pieces of legislation like budget or things that come through judiciary, you are allowing your district to be represented by 25-year-old bureaucrats. People who have left college and maybe worked for half a second. I know, because I was one of them for half a second before I went to law school. But that's not what you want. You don't want your congressperson to be told by 25-year-olds, or if you get lucky, maybe the early 30s, of who or how they should be voting for particular pieces of legislation. Congress deals with very important stuff. And a lot of what I think that we're hearing today are things that, quite frankly, should be left to the states. Congress shouldn't be passing them at all. These are state issues. But it's the bureaucrats who are after the power that'll say, yeah, go vote for that. Yeah, go do that. No. We want a congressperson that has been reading and writing bills, such as myself for the last 6 years, to know better for when to say no to the 25-year-old bureaucrats.
So there's a lot to unpack there, but I am a current federal employee. I'm still in the reserves, and one of the reasons I'm in the reserves is the healthcare. I'm still on TRICARE, and I've heard about this congressional healthcare plan, but I know TRICARE, and my family understands it. It's going to be a hard sell to get me on something else. VA benefits. I'm 80% disabled through the VA. The student loan forgiveness. Mike talked a little bit about it. That's a driver, that's an incentive for people to enlist in the Army, is getting student loan forgiveness. So when we start rattling off a wish list of how we want the federal government to work, we got to remember that the federal government is more than just the 550 people we don't like in Washington, D.C. It's more than just the White House, the 2 houses of Congress, and the folks around there that we disagree with on a daily basis. It's the people that keep us safe. It's the people that do the dirty work. It's the people that don't get rich working for the government. And when we do away with a federal retirement plan, it's going to affect a lot of folks. All right? So, in the spirit of the question, we need renewal, we need reform, we need people who aren't out for number one, especially in elected office. We need servants. But wholesale chopping up and killing off all of the incentives that bring people into the Department of Defense to serve the country in the military and the other vital pro ICE. Ooh, like them. There are a lot of folks we need to join the Army and the Marines. And we can't sell them out. All right? Next.
Well, this question highlights exactly what my candidacy's been all about. Americans are hungry for a resurgent, confident America that renews the pioneering, visionary spirit of this country. I believe we need a new generation of conservative leaders that are bold and unafraid. That's what I built my career on. I'm a guy that's taken down powerful politicians on the left and the right as chairman of Georgia's Ethics Commission. I'm a guy that's bucked against the local establishment, overturning elections, contesting elections in 2020 in Long County, where if you said election fraud, it was the worst thing that could come out of your mouth. I've fought all the way before the United States Supreme Court in the strongest of headwinds to ensure only legal ballots would be counted. And that's because I know in 2022 our country is on the line. There are many folks in D.C., the swamp creatures, they want to go along to get along. There are many folks that want to do anything and everything they can do to get to Washington, D.C., an important figure. That's not what me or my candidacy is all about. I'm about fighting. I'm about fighting for what I believe in, the convictions that I believe in. I'm about getting up to Washington, D.C., shaking things